accordance with Public Law 75, Chapter 231, has been advertised in the Lane City Press and posted in City Hall and our website. Please rise for the flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We have a former member of our city council passed away, John Cunningham, last month. So if we could keep in mind our military personnel and all of our emergency management people in fire and police. Amen. Congratulate all the winners from yesterday's election. Wish you the best in the future for the city's Estell Manor. Can I have roll call, please, Judge?
Mr. Dilch?
Here.
Ms. Owen?
Here.
Ms. Sparks?
Here.
Ms. Masker?
Here.
Mayor Vanessa?
Present.
I make a motion we approve the bill list in the amount of $1,232,746.46.
Second.
I think we're gonna open the meeting to the public first.
Get a roll call?
We just had a roll call.
No, I'm sorry. Let's vote.
Dilch and, let's see, Owen, okay.
All in favor?
Well,
We'll open the meeting to the public.
No.
Was there a
Roll
motion?
call on the motion to approve the bill list. That's what I was speaking to.
We need to open the meeting to the public first. That's
We're
all.
gonna do the bill list first.
Mr. Dilch.
Mr.
I have 2
Rodriguez.
meetings left to go. Let me just, this is what we've been doing for decades, okay? The meeting is open to the public. I make a motion to open the meeting to the public. Is there a second?
There's a motion on the floor.
Okay, so do you want to withdraw the motion so we can open the meeting to the public, so they don't have to wait?
No, we'll vote it.
Is there a particular reason why you feel it's important to do the bill list before the open public session? What's the reason?
I think it's important to do the bill list before the open public session.
Really?
Really?
For what reason?
That's why, because I think it's important.
Well, of course it's important. We got 2 bill lists.
Mr. Moore, please take the roll.
I was told that I could have speak first when I spoke to Mr. Neal. I come five hours away, back and forth.
We're gonna take a vote, and then we're gonna open up the
Okay.
public, Mr. Moore.
Mr. Dilch?
Yes.
Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Ms. Sparks?
Yes.
Ms. Masker?
Yes.
Mayor Vanessa?
This is to discuss the bill list, or this is to approve the bill list as it's presented?
Approve the bill list as presented is what I understood
Yeah,
to be.
correct.
And now, I have some questions about the bill list. I'm sorry. I had a feeling why you wanted to rush through this.
Your answer is no?
I have some questions here pertaining to the bill list. Judge, you have on here, let me see, 0338 for value auto parts, that's 128.93. Then you have it again, 0364 for value auto parts, 128.93. Is that the same invoice, or is this duplicate part that had to be purchased?
I believe it was, you saw it on here twice and it was a duplicate, I'll avoid that check it out. I
And,
didn't catch that. The several bills came in, so.
yep, and there's also a couple of, several of these personal touch. They have one for 450.
Yes, they got behind by the time that they submitted it. We already had the September meeting, and then we didn't have a meeting for October, so it got backed up. So there's probably 3, August, September, October, and then I added November on there.
Right. And then we have some billing here from the group of Levinson over issues, and what is this non-retainer bill for September, Randy, for $570?
I can't tell you right now.
Well, what's the work that's outside of the scope
I
of your
have to open
contract?
that bill, Mayor.
Which, by the way, you haven't spoken to me, Randy, in 6 months on the phone. You haven't returned my calls either. So, you're not.
Mayor, you haven't called me.
I have called you.
You have not called.
I have
Are
called
we
you.
gonna vote the bill list?
Mary did.
You
You already did.
Are we gonna vote the bill list?
You
You
already
already
did.
approved it.
approved.
Okay. Make a motion to open the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Pogue?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations, everybody, one way or another from yesterday. First is a request that if there are issues related to the Risley School or the Historical Society, as the council liaison, I'd be happy to try to help clarify any of those rather than potentially allow some tempers to exert themselves and we waste time that way. If I can do that, I'd be happy to do so, if anything is to come up that way. Related to Resolution 77, is there been any communication from the County of Atlantic regarding their desires, preferred procedures, or anything else in the event the city were to purchase or to enter into a shared services agreement? Is there a copy of a shared services agreement?
There was something that was sent to the city a while back. The county gave 2 samples. One was from Brigantine, the other one was from Ventnor, and there was even one from Margate.
Which are 3 municipalities, Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, that are fundamentally different. I think we could all recognize that from Estell Manor, but has there been anything from the county related to specifically for Estell Manor on that? And I guess that answers.
Do the resolution, then we go into the next phase, which would be an interlocal agreement.
Cart before the horse, but okay. Resolution 82, how are you accepting, while you're also applying for a grant? And the second part of that question would be, has there been a written report from RCC, Resource Control Consultants, regarding the pace of progress of anything with the landfill, particularly with Pinelands or anything else?
There was some information that was sent to the city and members of council received it with regards to making an application for more money from the HDSRF fund.
So how would a resolution be to accept a grant if you haven't applied for it yet? I thought that's with all due respect, that really is a simple question. I mean, either,
And I don't have a simple answer for you.
okay.
All right, very good.
And then finally, on the solar piece, on new business, I would say that I am happy 15 years later, because I brought it up 15 years ago when I was up there, and someone was very much opposed to it at the time, to go ahead with something on solar. However, with the age of the roof now, and the condition of the roof, you may have to look into that. If you could put something ground-based, that'd be wonderful, but you may have to look at condition of the roof, otherwise you wind up with some more problems on that front. If we had done it 15 years ago, we'd already had it paid for, and then if we had to fix the roof, we could take the thing off, fix the roof, put it back on, and
Well, you know
We'd be
what,
wonderful.
they worked out to be our advantage, because most solar companies are putting a new roof on before they put the solar panels on, so it's probably gonna work out for our advantage.
well, if you got that in writing, that'd be wonderful too.
Thank you.
But I don't, it doesn't sound like you do, but
Anyone else in the public?
thank you for the respect and the illumination as usual.
Anyone else in the public? Mr. Galvin?
Can we,
Regarding your resolution 78, the Fifth Avenue reconstruction project, can you fill us in there, or will that be given in the engineer's report? Who, how much, when's it gonna start? What's the expected disturbance to the neighborhood?
The engineer will have all that for us.
We'll have an engineer's report tonight. Thank you, I look forward to that.
Anyone else in the public? I make a motion to close the public.
I think
He wanted to speak.
I think the gentleman in front of me here had something.
Mr.
Barada.
yes, I
Is this
would like
pertaining,
to.
Mr. Brada, is this pertaining to what's on the agenda, what you have?
No, that's why I called and asked to be put on the agenda, but, I don't know, what transpired. I drove 5 hours last time, And,
Well, he called and asked me if he could be on, if he would be on the agenda, and I told him zoning will be on the agenda. He has a zoning man.
yeah, because I was here last month when the meeting was canceled, and I gave some paper to Mr. Neal.
And I distributed, I
Oh,
shared
you
it with all
did
council.
distribute
They've
to
seen
all
it.
of them, okay.
Correct? Anybody not see it?
I mean, I can wait to the end, it doesn't matter, you know, because I have, you know, this probably is my last time I come here with this problem.
I'm gonna allow you, Mr. Beretta.
You allowed?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Roosevelt Barada. I own a property on Route 50, number 150. And in 2018, in a meeting in this township, was stated that they direct the zoning office to come after me because I was a rich man and I own a skyscraper in New York City. And I tried to plead with the zoning office, I tried to make them happy, but it haven't happened, so. Let me put the, that was a year in attention, okay. It's been a stressful, very uncomfortable, and I'm afraid to go my own property because bad thing can happen. My family asked me to go on my property, accompany with another person. Do it too, the zoning office made a statement that you can come on my property anytime. And he wants, also, he does not return to my phone call. He hung up on me many times. And now, as a public official, this is not proper. Every time I try to do what he wants, always say that's not good enough. Sometimes I wonder why, but unfortunately now I started thinking that that's why we have so many problems in this beautiful country. We're dividing people, we have more people who are turned to alcohol, drug, we have more people with mental problems, and unfortunately, you know, I tried many times, I came to the meeting, but nobody seemed to care. My next step is gonna be put a lawsuit against the township, also put a sign on my property. When I enter the town on Route 50, it says, "Welcome to Estell Manor." My kids are working on my story and my sign. My sign also gonna say, "Welcome to the corruption town, where people do not have the same right." And tell nightmare story, and I will tell my nightmare story on the sign. Also, when I decide to start a lawsuit, I will subpoena everyone that was present in 2018 meeting. Thank you very much. Have a nice night. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yes, there's no one else in the public? Motion to close the public. All in favor?
So are you making a public offer
We
tonight
have,
to buy the town?
Michael?
Yes.
Good evening. Got several items to review. We had bid openings last September on the 24th for two projects. The first was Fifth Avenue reconstruction. We had a low bid of $147,000, and that was submitted by Ricky Slade Construction. And we also
Fifth Avenue, you say?
Fifth Avenue. Yeah. The exact total was $147,365, and Ricky Slade Construction was the low bidder. We also had a second opening. This is for the resurfacing of Maple Avenue. And Ricky Slade Construction was also the low bidder, where we had a base and an alternate. And that total was $196,347.70.
For the Maple Avenue.
Correct, Maple Avenue. Both bids came under the grant total, so you'll be able to complete both projects within the grant provided by NJDOT. And just as a reminder, with Fifth Avenue, you need to have that awarded this evening. The DOT gives you a 2-year period to award the project, otherwise they rescind the funds. And many members will recall with this project, we had a lengthy permitting process with the Pinelands. We received that approval. We had it bid, low bidder. There was some issue with a second low bidder on the Fifth Avenue project. I did review with Mr. Lafferty, and I believe he's in concurrence with the low bidder, it complies with all the public contract laws, and would agree to recommend the award to Ricky State Construction in both projects. Now, in terms of the timing, I believe there are 45-day contract limits. Given the weather right now, I'm not sure if the contractor is going to start within this year. I do have a current project with him. He's going to make an effort to at least get one of them done, completed by the end of this year. He's not sure which, not committal, but we obviously have to get contracts sent up to the DOT, pre-construction meeting, and we're getting kind of close to the cold weather, but he's going to make an effort to at least get one of these projects completed by this year. And then lastly, did receive some other good news. The DOT had an early announcement on their 2022 grant applications, and the city received $250,000 for South Jersey Avenue and 13th Street. So successful grant again this year. I did review that and did provide a proposal that was sent to Judd for the engineering and the surveying services. Typically, DOT announces their projects in late November, and we did it probably a month and a half in advance this year. So the city would like to be proactive. We provided that proposal so that we can do the design, get the plans and everything ready. Instead of bidding them late fall, we would have an early spring project. And obviously, you've seen with prices and everything's going up. So it'd be advantageous to complete that, get the design, and get a contractor lined up as soon as possible to hold the prices. You see they're all going up right now. So provide that to Judd for council's consideration.
We can allow the engineer to begin the bills next year, and in the temporary budget, we'll put that amount in the budget.
Okay. So you take the whole necessary paperwork, give our solicitor and to Judd?
Sure. And if there's just we just need a motion.
There's still a motion to authorize Ricky State on both contracts.
For both contracts, and then an authorization of our office to begin the work for South Jersey and 13th.
I make the necessary motion to approve the contract for Fifth Avenue for $147,365, and also for Maple Avenue for $196,347 for Ricky Slade.
Okay, now I have formal resolutions on those 78, 79. So, and because it's involved money, we should have a roll call vote on it.
We should do them one at a time.
And one at a time also.
So you want to do the one for 147 first, is what you're saying?
Yeah, for Fifth Avenue.
I'm making the necessary motion for $147,365 for Fifth Avenue. With Ricky Slade as the contractor. There's a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Question.
Yes.
So is DOT on that 2-year limit on accepting grants? Are they honoring exemptions given to COVID?
I'm not.
Have you known of extensions there for anybody?
I'm not aware of any extension, but you do have to award under contract law this evening unless you are granted an extension by the contract. Because I understand you're within the 45-day time period.
Yours right.
Thank you. Mr. Lafferty,
Yes.
I've reviewed your correspondence relative to the protest. You want to soothe our achy breaky hearts with a few words?
Well, without violating the attorney-client privilege, there was a protest that was lodged by the second lowest bidder, who was Gerald A. Barrett LLC. I discussed it with the engineer. I also looked at the applicable law. I feel that the protest was without merit, and that the bid otherwise complied with the requirements of both your bid specifications as well as the local public contracts law, and I recommended that you decline that protest.
Thank you.
We don't need to do that by motion, do we?
You do not.
That's all my questions, thank you.
If there's no one else with questions, I need a roll call, please.
Mr. Dilge?
Yes.
Mr. Ellen? or Ms. Owen,
Yes.
Ms. Sparks, Ms. Masker,
Yes.
Mayor Vinesia.
Yes. Next, I'll make a motion to approve the contract for Maple Avenue for the amount of $196,347.70, like you said. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, discussions?
Do we have a preference as a city, do we have a preference as to which one gets done first? Is it to our benefit, if we can only get one done, is there some benefit to us to get one done sooner than later? Are we hamstringing ourselves, in other words, are we hamstringing ourselves by leaving it at the discretion of the contractor, or do we wanna tell them which one to do first?
I don't know that you can necessarily dictate to the contractor. There was nothing in the specifications that said one had to be completed ahead of the other. I know that in regards to both projects, the Fifth Avenue is gonna require some grading and earthwork, to prep the subgrade before they base and surface, and some guide rail. Obviously that's weather dependent, if it gets wet out, might be a little bit harder to work with. That's something we have to discuss with the contract, the pre-construction meeting, which he would feel comfortable, if at all, we could get to that this year.
Mike, I would make a recommendation on something. Maple Avenue would be better, because historically in the wintertime, you get potholes galore everywhere, and I mean, you get some deep ones over there. So, and you have a lot of people ride down that road. I think that would be the more important one.
Well, I think, and also just in looking at each roadway with Maple, the contractor's gonna need two crews. There's he's gonna have an earthwork crew grading to prep the road and the paving, whereas on Maple, it's strictly paving. You have overlay, some base repair, and some wedge course. So, I think the Maple Avenue is gonna be a little less involved than the project on Fifth.
I think we should really do the Maple Avenue project. That's my recommendation, council. That would be the prudent thing to do.
But I'm not sure that you can necessarily, we can make a recommendation, we can suggest to the contractor, ask him if he can complete, one or the other, but I don't know legally we have anything.
What would you,
To Randy, if there's anything that we could do.
What would you say the time frame is, the scope of work that's gonna be done on Maple? How many days?
Weather pending, I'd say Maple could be knocked out in 2 weeks.
2 weeks? They're gonna have to grind up the sub-base now because it's got too many issues with it?
No, there's
Or they can just go
isolated,
right over it?
there's isolated, soft spots we're gonna be milling, reviewing the subgrade, base paving, and then capping the roadway. There's areas of wedge, and then there's a overlay. And then they'll come back, redo the shoulders with topsoil, and there's several driveway aprons that are getting repaired, as well as the line striping. So, majority of the work, it's always difficult trying to line the line stripers, but the majority of the work, could be completed within, 2 weeks, obviously weather pending.
So council, that's good with Maple Avenue? We should do that first.
I wanna ask another question, if I may. In both these cases, and maybe I should have looked, I don't remember seeing the bid spec though. We had this challenge a couple of years ago with resurfacing and mailbox aprons. How was that addressed this time?
Generally address that case by case. We'll reach out to the residents. Some, want us to, wedge out, and we'll just extend the paver to pave. Some prefer DGA, so, really it's a.
But it's on the contractor and he understands it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that's all, thank you.
Did we do the roll call on this one here?
No, we had a motion and a second, we just need roll call. Mr. Bill?
Yes.
Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Ms. Sparks? Ms. Masker?
Yes.
Mayor Vinesia.
Next, we have, anything else, Mike?
No, just lastly, if you want us to proceed with South Jersey and 13th, I spoke to Judd, we would hold, off any billing due to budget constraints, but if you would like to get that started, just need authorization.
Do you feel we should do it now?
I think it'd be advantageous to get this lined up as soon as possible so that, come springtime, you're in the queue ahead of other municipalities with contractors.
I would recommend it, we just make a motion to authorize our engineer to proceed.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, we should do it now. I'll make the necessary motion to approve Grainger Engineering to do all the proper necessities to prepare for the 13th Street and South Jersey Avenue.
South Jersey Avenue resurfacing.
Resurfacing. Now it's both South Jersey Avenues, correct?
Correct.
There's one that's a small segment, and then there's the other one that's,
Those were within the project limits, yes.
I made the necessary motions, is there a second?
Does that motion have to, include the buildings and the county?
Well, anytime anybody, a vendor does work for us, yes, we always have to pay them. So there'll be money in a temporary budget to be able to pay them. That's what you guys will be working on next year.
Second.
If there's no further conversation, roll call please.
Mr. Dilch?
Yes?
Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Ms. Sparks?
Yes.
Ms. Master?
Yes.
Mayor Vinesia?
Yes. Okay. Mike, what else you got?
That's all I have this evening.
So your Thanksgiving coming up?
You guys do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Take care. We have the bill list.
Already did it.
Already did it.
I'm sorry, the approval of minutes, excuse me. We have the September 1st, 2021 regular minutes. And of course, there's a meeting that was held in October. We'll make notation to Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Make a necessary motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We have correspondence. We have a letter from May Harbor City Laos. I don't want to entertain that at this time. We also have a couple of people who have expressed an interest to want to purchase some land. There's actually 4 different ones. If you look at the old business, that's actually 5 people are looking to purchase property. So council will have to work on getting all of the assessed values and whatever paperwork they need to move forward on. Does anybody have any further conversation on that?
Assessed value matters.
We have Resolution 77, 2021, the approval of the LEAP grant.
We have an ordinance before that, Mayor.
Where
Ordinance 5 of 2020.
I make a motion, we table the ordinance till the January meeting.
Where's the ordinance at? I'm not on my pen.
Oh, mine.
Right on the correspondence.
That was, I put several new copies in your box, it should have been on the very top, Mayor, probably on the, by your manila envelope.
I gotta go.
Let me see if I
gotta go.
No.
Hey, he's only got a few more hours.
Council wants to hold this. Guess this would be in regards to the Maple Avenue.
In all
pit,
seriousness,
correct?
it's not worth PTSD. That's not.
Make a motion, we table it till after the first of the year.
This is with regards to the Maple Avenue pit, correct?
That's what I assumed.
One of the things I'd make a recommendation to council as we are getting closer to this, I really think that all the residents on Maple Avenue should be notified that a change will be taking place on this property, a proposed possible change.
Good idea.
I would send a written notice to each and every one of them. So yes, it's not really a good idea to move forward.
It's okay.
You actually don't need to table it, there's nothing on the table right now.
Just choose not to recognize it?
Just
Yeah,
go on.
okay.
We have Resolution 77, the approval of the LEAP grant. We've kicked this around numerous times. I would actually make a motion to approve the resolution for 77 to accept the offer from the state to receive $120,000 from Trenton, from the DCA. Is there a second? Not a good idea. So, council doesn't want to move on accepting a $120,000 grant from Trenton?
Not until we can see it, Mayor. Do you have the contract? Contract proposal from the state specifically for the city of Estell Manor? I'm not gonna vote a contract I've never seen. Not gonna happen.
Mr. Lockerty, you want to comment on this?
We also requested to